What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Varsity Overland channel. In today's video, I'm actually going to reconfigure my Ibex bed rack from Kuat so that I can put my rooftop tent back on top for the season. And while I do so, I plan to share some of my thoughts on this bed rack after 1 year of ownership. So this is the Ibex bed rack from Kuat. And for those of you that don't know, I am an official ambassador for the Kuat brand and have been using this bed rack for a little over a year now. This bed rack has treated me very well. It's been strong, sturdy. I've tried it in several different variations, carrying my rooftop tent, also carrying my Gazelle ground tent. Today, I need to change the crossbars, raise them up a little bit higher because I will be mounting my rooftop tent back on top for the spring and summer season. So as I reinstall the crossbar riser kit, I just wanted to share some of my thoughts about this bed rack and how it's treated me over this past year. So I just took my awning off of the truck, and if I said that it was a 5-minute job, I might actually be over exaggerating, because the way that the T-tracks and the sliding bolts and sliding little T-nuts work with this bed rack make everything so convenient, like so easy. I didn't even have to use the original hardware that came with my awning. I just used the hardware that came with the Kuat rack, and it just made it all so simple. So I just, unscrewed the bolts, was very careful about the awning. Obviously, if your awning is like super heavy, this might be a little bit more of a process for you. I was able to just kind of like one arm it with my hand over the side of the rack, hold on to the awning as I unbolted, and then just muscled it up on top of the rack and carried it down myself. But that whole thing was a piece of cake. So what I have to do next is I'm going to reinstall my MOLLE panel on the rear window. Some people refer to it as the headache rack portion. And if you haven't seen my main adventure series, then you might not be aware of this, but the only gripe, the only quote issue, I guess, that I've had with this bed rack over the past year has been that rear headache rack. However, it was 100% my fault. So if you're installing this bed rack for the first time and you're reading the Kuat instructions, you're going to find out it says to use Loctite or something similar to Loctite on all of your bolts. Makes a lot of sense, right? Well, I didn't do that the first time. So some of my bolts ended up getting rattled apart on the back roads and trails of Maine, and my headache rack was kind of dangling from the back there. If I have a shot of that, I'm going to put it on the screen right now. It was dangling there with my fuel can and my propane tank mounted to the MOLLE panel. So I had to remove that, and then I just never put it back, because after returning from that trip, I dropped down the crossbars. I took my rooftop tent off. It wasn't bearing a lot of weight. I didn't really feel like doing it at the time. So here we are trying to mount the rooftop tent back on top. I'm going to need that extra support. So that MOLLE panel, or that headache rack, it comes with the riser kit. So if you go to the Kuat website, you're going to see the riser kit as an optional package, or an optional piece of gear that you can use, an accessory on your Ibex. And I would definitely recommend getting it if obviously if your tent is too big, but also I'd recommend getting it if your tent is particularly heavy, because it does give some more rigidity to the bed rack. So anyway, long-winded story. Only problem I've had so far is that back MOLLE panel kit, because I caused the problem in the first place without any Loctite. But anyway, let's get to that install piece, and hopefully we'll be done pretty soon. All right, so this is the backplate MOLLE panel headache rack thingy, whatever you want to call it, that I got to mount basically right here up against the back window. And I wanted to give a big shout out to the folks over at Kuat for sending me the replacement bolts. I'm missing most of these. Sending me these bolts after I left the originals somewhere in the Maine wilderness. right, folks, well, I'm just wrapping up here. I had all 3 of the crossbars up on the higher position, and it's pretty simple. I mean, it's relatively easy. Hopefully you are a little bit more organized than I am and you keep all of your nuts and bolts in the same location. I had to go hunting through my basement for a little while to locate all the bolts that I took out when I actually dropped the riser kit down. But yeah, I mean, this process is simple. I actually like the way it looks like this with all 3 crossbars up really tall. I made all 3 crossbars tall, not just to support the rooftop tent, but also because I have a brand new awning on the way. It's a little heavier than the awning I currently have, and I wanted to make sure it had 3 mounting points on the side of the vehicle instead of just the normal 2. That back headache rack section, I'm gonna wait until I have an extra set of hands. Maybe my wife Michelle can help me, or I'll just take this to the shop, Northeast Off-Road Vehicles, and the guys over there will be able to help me kind of like set it into position. I'm not mounting the rooftop tent currently at the moment today. It's actually starting to rain, so I'm gonna get out of the rain in a second. Do you have any experience with the Ibex Kuat bed rack? I would love to know your thoughts. Every time I work on this bed rack, I do include my thoughts in a little email. I make some notes and I send it to Kuat so that we can start a conversation and kind of like find ways to, you know, make processes maybe easier or more convenient, or I just like to share my feedback. So if you guys have things to share with me, then I might be able to share it also with them. So anyway, I appreciate you guys watching. This is kind of like a loose makeshift 1-year review. I do enjoy the bed rack. I think it's awesome. I haven't had any problems with it. I haven't had any issues of things breaking or not supporting weight or anything like that. Nothing other than problems that I created myself. So anyway, love the Ibex. Love Kuat as a brand. They are always willing to work with me, and they are always willing to take my feedback, which is really important. Thanks for sticking around, everybody. I appreciate the view, and I will see you next time. Peace, people.